Hey, subscribe. I've got some great videos. So, I grew up watching Aphmau, and I remember the first episode of Mystreet and just being blown away. There were so many things to like about it, especially if Minecraft Diaries wasn't your forte and you wanted something more grounded, but also had a lighthearted nature while still carrying those deep moments when the time was right. Of course, Aphmau didn't really intend on making multiple seasons of Mystreet. It was a happy accident, and that's why over the years there were so many changes that happened due to time, or change in tone, or because of the character development. Well, I mean, if you want to call it development. And in my opinion, one of the worst characters to get this treatment was Aaron. There were obviously worse ones, like both Lawrence and Caitlyn got treated horribly over the years, but that'll be another video for another time. Speaking of which, for those of you that don't know, hey, my name's Akira and I talk about things that interest me. And if you like what I do, please consider liking the video and please leave a comment of what you want me to talk about next in my next video. Your support really does mean a lot and it helps me move forward and make new videos, so please show some support. Alright, so where do I begin? So the way I'm gonna do this is mainly, I'm gonna talk about how Aaron appeared in Mystreet as the episodes were being uploaded. I'll cover the timeline later in the video. The reason I'm doing it this way first is because it's a little unfair to Aphmau because of course she didn't plan everything out in the first place. So we kinda have to see how Aaron was changing as the channel went on, because if we compare it in the timeline, of course there's some weird inconsistencies, but don't worry, we'll still cover Aaron's character in the timeline, so yeah, but that'll be later. So let's go ahead and move on to the very start of how all this began, the big move. Coming off Diaries, Aaron is actually portrayed the same way, where he's pretty cool and collected and mysterious. He's a man of a few words and only really speaks to you if he knows you. He's just cool, there's really no way to explain it. Obviously, I'm not sure how canon this specific scene is. If you're a fan of Mystreet, we don't really talk about this because this whole thing was just weird. But yeah, having Aaron just play around with Lawrence and Garth's paranoia, it's honestly just so cool and shows that he does have a side to him that he can joke and have fun. Even when they steal Aaron's clothes, he doesn't seem to mind or really care too much. Instead, he just asks for them back. But of course, that was technically before Mystreet even happened, so let's actually get into that. So Aaron actually pops up around episode 9 and continues to pop up every so often, and he doesn't really do much other than act cool and only talk to Aphmau. We actually learn a bit more about him in episode 14. He actually gives some really good advice here. This really does show just how mature he really is. I mean, at least compared to everyone around him. Oddly enough, episode 18, Aaron is just down with being Romeo and kissing Aphmau. I'm not really sure why. Like, even the way he says it, it's not a typical like monotone way, like yeah, I know. He's like, he says it very excitedly, like it's not a big deal, like, oh, it's just another Tuesday. It may be because of the plot or because, I don't know, Aaron sees this as both an opportunity to help Caitlyn and mess with Garth and Lawrence in the process. I don't know. And in episode 19, he even removes his hood and eye covers, which is kind of strange because he never really puts it back on after this. And if you know the lore, it's even weirder because, well, anyway, yeah, let's look past that. So in episode 21, it's actually stated that both Aaron and Aphmau got caught in the moment. Wink wink, nudge nudge, you know. So that does show that Aaron actually does have that side to him and isn't just default like cool expression all the time. No, he actually has a big heart. And in episode 23, right when it seems that Aaron wants to ask Aphmau out, Travis comes in and ruins it. You can actually hear him sigh as he walks out, which is actually interesting and sort of funny. Whenever Garth and Lawrence tried stopping Aaron, it was only ever a minor inconvenience. But with Travis, it actually seems like it got under Aaron's skin. This is a new development because Aaron is always known for keeping his cool and being in control. I like this. Episode 25, there's a possible misunderstanding, but Aaron is really cool and collected. He knows not to get jealous or anything, and once again, this just proves how mature and cool he is. Not only that, he plays along with Zane with him being an overprotective mom, and he even jokes around. You know, saying the cool stuff like, don't worry, I'll have her back by midnight, wink. In episode 31, we can actually see that through that cool exterior, he can actually get jealous and frustrated. Granted, he has good reason to be. And in episode 35, he actually gets a little embarrassed when he's caught practicing his lines of what he's gonna say to Aphmau. Finally showing my favorite aspect about Aaron. He's a bit of a dork sometimes and can be awkward. Not only that, but he truly does care, like when he pours his heart out to Zane as they both talk about their appreciation to Aphmau, and how Aaron just doesn't really care about what anyone thinks and wants to be with her. That's the Aaron we all know. You're probably wondering why I spend so much time here, and that's because I want to establish exactly who Aaron is. There's a bit more character that is sort of hidden. He definitely isn't the most well-written character, but in season 1, he's definitely one of the best. Top 3, definitely. Maybe even top 2, I don't know, because like Zane is pretty up there. Aaron has so many layers and isn't just one note. And much like a real person, the more you get to know him, the more he opens up. And I think it only really gets better in season 2 of Mystreet. For now, let's actually move on to what came next, which is a prequel, Phoenix Drop High season 1. I'll spend a little less time here because Aaron is actually a little bit of one note here, so I'll go over the main things. Unlike his adult counterpart, Aaron doesn't really have that many layers in his high school version. Actually, he's almost the complete opposite. Instead of being cool and collected and wise, instead he's very violent and immature. While in Mystreet he was a loner because he was just a bit awkward, in Phoenix Drop High he just kinda hates people. There's a bit more to him, like the reason why he's so kind of aggressive is because his family life kind of sucks and he was sent to like military school or something like that. But once again, there is that kind of softer side to him. When someone random comes in while he's practicing, he does decide to open up and ask them what's wrong. And let me remind you, he doesn't know this is Aphmau yet. He just hears someone's crying and just asks, hey, like what's wrong? Eren then gives some solid advice. This reminds us that yeah, there is a lot more to him than just being a troublemaker. He even goes out of his way to help out in the situation by crushing the phone that Jean had. Episode 23 is a bit weird because when dinner is ruined, Eren shows off and makes literally everything better and even cracks jokes at the table. I mean, I guess you can interpret this as Aphmau taking away that angst that Eren had, but he's almost flawlessly able to not be awkward around other people, but okay, sure. I have a lot to say about that because it really doesn't line up because, as we're gonna figure out later on, this is complete opposite of what we know Eren as to this day, but yeah. Let's move on to both Season 2 and 3 of Mystreet. In the first episode of Season 2, Eren is actually the one to make a joke to the group rather than just sitting out or sticking with Aphmau. This is actually the beginning to Eren actually being friends with everyone and opening up more and just in general being more involved. I actually really like this development. His cool factor isn't actually here anymore. It shows up every so often, but it seems Eren is a bit more grounded and more human. There's a lot of interactions where he's pretty funny and just goes along with whatever's happening, which I really do like. I just like how he gets along with everyone now and is a part of their antics. This could be better or worse depending on what you want from the series. Mystreet was always meant to be fun and nothing too serious, so yeah, this development is pretty fine. I do prefer the cool guy, but I do like seeing Eren talk to more people other than just Aphmau. It really gets him moments to shine. Season 3, however, starts to really change things. This is where things really get interesting because, as I said, Mystreet was never serious, but it was about to start getting intense. Eren is more or less the same person as Season 2, though yeah, a bit more laid back. And also way more talkative compared to his other counterparts. It's clear that when Jess was writing for Eren, she wanted him to be more involved and play more of a part. This is definitely the start of when Eren was becoming a full-fledged main character. Let's go ahead and just skip all this and jump straight through the whole breakup arc. At this point, we do find out about Eren's home life and such, but this doesn't really change too much. Well, I mean, other than reawaken his mommy issues and such. With the whole business that was set up expanding and getting bigger and all that, it reminds him of when he was a kid when he barely got to spend time with his parents. This is definitely new, but something that was slowly built up, which I like. Honestly, this whole thing's another topic for the day, and I honestly have way too much to say. Yeah, Eren is a teddy bear, but he does have slight issues with being alone. This whole situation is just also bringing up bad memories, cause yeah, he's seen all this before. Especially since he tries, but he just ends up becoming the bad guy. But yeah, Aphmau is also a bit stupid, and I don't blame Eren for wanting some time alone. That this whole thing is stupid. I'm sure some would say that Eren is overreacting in the situation and such, since he's always been kind of cool and collected, but I don't blame him. Every single time Eren had a problem, he would just push it aside. If anything, the only thing I have to complain about is how easy it was for him to focus on other things. Granted, he needed a break, but I'm still surprised, cause yeah, he says he misses her, but there's really no signs of it. Other than like maybe once looking at a picture of her and being like, well, okay. But yeah, that's basically Season 3. It doesn't really do too much. Season 4 happens, and yeah, once again, Eren is mostly the same, thankfully, but here's where things get interesting. I'm sure all of you know what's gonna happen. Eren isn't the type of person to be worried or even scared. Well, if you weren't counting the times Eren was a bit scared of Aphmau's mother. The story of Eren's origins being told right in front of him, even though no one knew, not even the audience. This leaves everyone confused by what will happen next, and Eren springs into action. Even after getting stabbed and falling off a cliff, he still pushes on even though he's broken. And I mean broken in every sense. Now, learning that the main reason why Eren stayed cool and collected was because he had to, and you know, he was forced to so he can keep himself in check. I'll be honest, this is both insanely cool, but I also just don't like it. Eren over time became more and more grounded and had his character established, but all of a sudden we just add some huge thing like this and it sort of messes with everything we know. Granted, that's what plot twists are meant to do, but still, it's very much a shock. It's like we never really knew the real Eren. Whether that be for good reasons or bad reasons, I don't know. This, depending how the story goes, it could be, yeah, a good thing or a bad thing. Sadly, this also retcons some things because, you know, his eye wraps weren't a big deal, but now they are and such, and at least it gives it a reason, but I mean, I don't know, man. So let's do a slight recap. Eren has changed a lot, and for the most part, I seem to be all for it. You're probably all confused because this video is supposed to talk about how Eren's character got worse over time. Well, we're about to get there, and in my opinion, Season 4 is sort of peak Eren. I understand that the Eren from Minecraft Diaries and Mystreet are two entirely different people, so as much as I want Eren to remain as his cool self, I do like when he is honest and open about his feelings. It's kinda satisfying to see Eren get mad and beat Ian's ass. If it were the Eren from Minecraft Diaries, he would have tried to remain calm for the most part and played those games while using his anger as a weapon. I would have much preferred to see that honestly, but this is Mystreet and this kind of story wasn't built for these characters. That's why this whole thing is kind of a bit iffy from the start. This really should be peak Eren, but from what we've known from Season 1 and before that, he should have been a lot better with the situation. But of course, as Eren grew in Mystreet and got closer to everyone, he changed for the better. Or did he? So, okay, in Season 5 of Mystreet, Eren's secret is mostly out, and as it was kind of stated, it was like we didn't really know him anymore. Now that his true self is out and some weird habits are surfacing, he becomes this frantic little nervous, sweet, innocent boy. I understand making Eren more sweet and lovable because of the time skip and because of what he went through, but this isn't really how you're supposed to do it. I know that this character isn't mostly gone, but he does get worse and worse and makes stupid decisions. But I'm not gonna fault that too much because like every character, they slowly got more cartoony and so much more careless as time went on. I mean, take Eren's whole family, for example. They're the complete opposite of what they were shown in Season 3 and 4. The best and worst examples is Eren's sister, Melissa. She was this sort of like stern older sister with some occasional funny sass, and now she's pretty much obsessed with romance, and her only other character is trying to get Eren and Aphmau to bone and have kids. Pun definitely intended. It's a shame because things only got worse as the season goes on. There's multiple points where Eren feels like a completely different person. I mean, look at Season 2 in Phoenix Drop High. The Eren I knew would have marched in and gave Aphmau a big hug and asked her out on the spot. Instead, we have this little bitch. I think the weirdest part is also the part that doesn't line up with the timeline, which is when Eren first meets Aphmau during Phoenix Drop High graduation days. His nervousness and innocence is almost exactly what we know of him now with how he acts in Starlight. When in this point of the timeline, if anything, he should be nervous, yes, but also trying to play it cool and keep himself in check instead of being a wreck and blushing all the time. Honestly, the hardest part about judging all of this is how a character should have changed because the story kind of threw everything out of the window and everything else at the walls. People are also characters, and they can change by events happening around them, so it's hard to truly say how Eren should have been or should have acted. I would love to know how you all feel in the comments below. Alright, so let's look at the timeline of things. So, Season 1 of Phoenix Drop High happens, and Eren is a loner troublemaker because he has daddy issues, and when he finds out Aph is his online girlfriend, he opens up, and Eren is a funny, chill guy who is competitive and loves arguing, I guess. He's also just good at everything sometimes, but then he graduates high school, and because he causes a bit of trouble, his father is more strict with him, causing Eren to be more antisocial and hateful and rebellious, but he's also a nervous wreck until he isn't, I guess. Then Aphmau graduates and Eren sees her for the first time in like 4 or 5 years or something. And yeah, he does act how I think he does. He's quiet and doesn't really know how to open up, but on the inside he's screaming and crying. And looking at Falcon Claw University, that's basically his own whole entire character. He's pretty much like, oh my god, Aphmau, she's over there, I'm so useless, I hate myself, ah! We then fast forward to Season 1 of Mystreet and Eren has calmed down so much and he's matured quite a bit, and he also spends more time with Aphmau and her friends, and then he begins loosening up finally and allowing himself to have fun. But oh no, someone finds out his super duper dark secret and he's reunited with his girlfriend. And when he's reunited with his girlfriend, he's a nervous little baby wreck again because that's how he was back then. He's also a comedic relief at times, but he's also just watered down and continues to be even more so as the show increases in scale. Yeah, that's basically Eren in a nutshell. Eren is supposed to be this really tragic character, and on paper, it's really cool. It's really cool how he's in danger and Eden comes back for a rematch and he loses control and kills him and proves the world he truly is the monster they say he was. But actually he isn't because he's being saved by his friends and he finally moves on to get rid of this whole curse. It's really cool, but the problem is that Jess wanted to have her cake and eat it too. Mystreet wasn't ever supposed to get to this point. Having a funny wacky show turn to something like this is just absolutely insane. But that's a whole other video for another time. Eren's character is always going to be a bit weird because he would flip-flop to this cool guy with quite a bit of confidence to someone who had his own problems and a lot of inner turmoil, who also is an innocent sweet boy, sweetheart, nervous little baby bitch who constantly blushes and acts nervous. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure a lot of you are trying to say that back in Mystreet he was still a nervous wreck on the inside. I mean, there are signs of that. There are a few scenes where we flash back to Eren back in Season 1 and the way he acts is more similar to Starlight. But then again, that was later in the production, and that was when we had more of a vision of what Eren's character, I guess, should have been. So, too little too late, I guess? So, obviously it would make sense, right? He has a cool demeanor so he can keep himself in check and make sure his eyes didn't change. But, once again, this doesn't make sense because that character is nowhere to be seen. Because back in Season 1 of Mystreet, Eren auditioned for the part of Romeo because Aphmau was Juliet. This doesn't make sense because Eren at this point, Eren would be freaking out at the idea and not even dare do something that bold. Look at how he acted back in Falcon Claw. Even talking to Aphmau was a huge stress. Even talking to other people was a huge stress. Sure, you can say a lot of time has passed, but as we saw from the flashback, he was still very much nervous about the things he said and still acted very much like, what am I supposed to say right now? Not to mention back in season 1, how excited he was when he said that he knew there was going to be a kiss involved. If Eren truly was putting on an act and his true self was a big teddy bear and such, then it doesn't make sense for the amount of times that Eren made his move. There's so many times where he's bold and he's like, bro, watch this, I'm gonna get the girl and look cool doing it. And from what we know of Eren's true character, that doesn't seem like him literally at all. These are two different people. It's one thing to have a character grow, but that doesn't mean his previous flaws and such should be written out of existence so we can add new stuff. Does give a reason for some of them, yeah, but where's that sensible guy that we know? Where's that mature advice that he gave from others from time to time? Where's that guy who was confident and a bit cocky? And I know a long time has passed, but where are those moments where he would just be cool? I'm all for him being open, but please let him be cool. In Starlight, Eren now gets jealous and is also a bit petty sometimes, and that isn't like him. The Eren I knew would take control of the situation and have fun teasing others, not blush and fall apart when he gets a slight compliment. So, fun fact, I actually wrote a whole entire 3-page essay thing about how I felt about Mystreet at the end, and I just find it funny because that's not what the video was about. It was about Eren, but for some reason I made it about the whole series, which is kind of funny. Well, to be fair, it was the newer seasons that made everyone's character kind of go downhill, and it changed a lot, but yeah, anyways, let me know if you ever want to see that video about me talk about the end of Mystreet. I surely have a ton to say, but I'd rather not bore you all with right now. But yeah, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and let me know if you want me to talk about anything else. Please tell me in the comments below if there's anything I should check out. It really doesn't have to be Aphmau related, I'll pretty much talk about anything at this point. But yeah, I don't have much more to say, so thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you all later. Bye!